You can catch him right here on YouTube and Twitch. Brody, thanks so much for your time. How are you today, man?
Wow, you've rolled out the red carpet with Taylor Swift for my introduction song. And I see on the live stream, Papa, you've got a Celebrini jersey already?
I got a 71 plus 2 equals 73. So excited.
Well, that's Tyler Toffoli. Yeah,
I know.
Smith.
That's where we just
you
went.
do the math.
That's where we just
so
went.
wait a second.
Yeah.
You know, I'm realizing here, people are asking, are the Sharks back? And I've been waiting to kind of make that proclamation. I don't know what it means. Does playoffs mean you're back, whatever? Now I think I know. When Greg Papa has the Celebrini sweater, now I know the Sharks are back.
Yes, I am a bandwagon jumper, a teal jumper, going back to Jumbo Joe and Little Joe and Patty and the whole group. And we went down there and did a lot of shows with you on TV and radio. So let me just ask this, and obviously we'll see. But Macklin is he's so skilled. He is so fun to watch. Fill this in for me. Macklin Celebrini is the most talented Sharks player blank ever, since Patty, since Joe. How do you Macklin Celebrini is the most talented Sharks player blank.
Yeah. Potentially ever. And I'm going to say that because of his age. And he's already doing the things. Like, at some point, Joe Thornton was a great offensive threat, could assist from pretty much anywhere on the ice. And I do remember it was like the 2012 or 13 season, and all of a sudden, Joe's playing a totally different defensive game. And you're thinking, all right, here's a guy who's already a future Hall of Famer, who's already established himself as all these things. Now he's playing defense at the level he's playing with the puck. Macklin's like already doing those things, and he's not even 20 years old. So I think the way I would say is he has the potential at this point to be a couple different things. And I mean, you can talk about it from the Sharks' perspective to maybe be the greatest Shark ever. And I also realize I got to hold my horses here because we got to let this play out. But I mean, I'm also going to eventually, if he's on that same trajectory that I'm seeing and expecting and hoping for, I'm going to put him in the same conversation as Bay Area legends like Joe Montana, Ricky Henderson, Jerry Rice,
Steph
Barry
Curry,
Bonds,
Steph
Steph Curry. I mean, the list is going to keep going on and on here. Like, it is that company that he could be in at this trajectory. And again, it's not just because of his point production this year. It's literally because he does everything. He is intellectual, his IQ, he is ahead of the game nearly the entire game.
Well, Brody, we know that a lot of people are starting to flock to this team, and I saw the post you wrote about it, which I thought was very well said. But here in the Bay Area, let's be honest, we are incredibly spoiled with all of the teams who, some of them departed now. We know what it looks like when a superstar is on the rise, and that's what you're getting, not just with Macklin, but some of the other young talent around him. From a team perspective, I want to get your thoughts on this, because last year they looked like a young team with talent that didn't quite know how to finish a game. Maybe it would fall apart at the end of the third period, maybe in overtime. They just couldn't hold on. And then it started that way this year. But then all of a sudden they flipped a switch where not only were they a really tough out down the stretch, they are a team that you want on your side in overtime. Were you surprised that they were able to flip the switch so quickly, and how do you think they did it?
Yeah, they're definitely ahead of schedule. A lot of people asked me at the beginning of this year, what's the expectation? And I said, well, it's a 2-year plan. And that 2-year plan is eventually to get back to the playoffs, be competitive. And then once you cross that threshold of being a postseason team, then you start talking about making runs and doing it for 5, 6, 7, 10 years in a row. But to get to the playoffs and potentially do it this year, and look, it's a very competitive NHL. The parity is at an all-time high, and I'm saying Parity, not parody. It's just every team. It just
I'm glad you cleared that up for me.
Well, no, because when people say it quickly, they're like, "Do you say parody?"
I got it. You are a jokester. You are a jokester.
I try. It's depending on which way the wind blows. Like, you're in the playoffs or not right now, so it's going to be tough for them to crack that this year. But they're definitely ahead of schedule. And at this point, I think for me, kind of the biggest surprise is just that all the little things have happened for this team and in the right timing. To your point, and by the way, how do I do this with two Gregs? Do I say Silver and Papa? Is that what I do?
Pops and Silver. I don't know.
Do I say, all right, so Mr. Silver.
OG, Young G, whatever it is.
Or you could just say Greg and make us guess.
Greg?
Yeah. Hip Greg.
Excuse me?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, they have 9 overtime wins this year and on a 9-game overtime win streak. Those are the games, those are the wins they weren't getting last year. They've come through in the clutch. Is that a little bit of Macklin? Sure, but it's a little bit of everybody being a lot more mature. This team is so much deeper scoring. So if you're asking me, like, what is the instant noticeable improvement? It's how they're finishing games and how they're doing late in games and being able to manage wins.
I just love the skill. I just love what I'm watching. Just how easy they make the game look. And, with Macklin, I don't know if he's a one-time sniper or a guy that can make people better, like a Jumbo Joe. I think it's both. I think he's got a little bit in that. But also with Will Smith, we can't overlook the ability of his running mate. And I love, Drew Mendez. So great to have him back on the broadcast. And he just adds so much. He's the Mike Krukow, Tim Ryan of Bay Area sports, really.
Totally.
So he was interviewing, he and Randy after the game the other night, interviewing Will. And he said, tell the audience the line you have, as you pass me in the hallway. And it's can't teach this,
that.
can't teach that, can't touch that.
Yeah.
And it's just the God-given ability. You know the game so well, not just with Macklin, but Will Smith. And I'm sure they're getting great coaching, but it's just the pure ability and skill that both of these young men have at such a young age. It just blows me away. So if Macklin is a Willie Mays or a Steph Curry, who is Will Smith? Is he Willie McCovey? Is he Klay Thompson? Is he Jerry to Joe? What are we looking at with this duo?
Yeah. Montana had Rice.
Yeah.
I think it's that. Or if you want to look at any great Giants pitcher over the years who had Buster Posey doing the catching. And actually, Pop, I do want to point this out because Rick Celebrini recently did an interview talking about, the backstory of Macklin, who he really is, and stuff that Macklin just doesn't ever talk about. I mean, at least publicly. He doesn't ever want to talk about himself. But Rick, his dad, was talking about how Will, Mac is so focused and so competitive, and he's always been that way. And since like 13 or 14, he's been on this drive and this mission. He says that like hanging out with Will away from games, away from the ice, kind of loosens him up a little bit, and Macklin needs that. So beyond the playmaking and beyond the chemistry that they have on the ice, and they've literally assisted on, or helped each other and combined on 47 goals together so far this year. It's crazy. They're on ice chemistry, but off ice too. I think it's important for them to be there for each other, to go through this experience together. And look, you've got, Macklin, who's probably going to get more of the attention, more of the spotlight. And I agree to your point. Sleeping on Smitty is the wrong thing to do, but it's kind of the embarrassment of riches of the Sharks right now. The Sharks are like, and I'll say this because I know it's the audience here on KNBR, you take how the Dodgers are acquiring talent through signing them. The Sharks are doing the exact same thing, except they're drafting those players. They're getting them in a more fair way.
Nice farm
system. It's that kind of talent, though. Yeah.
The Dodgers did draft some of them. We got to give them.
Which ones? And which ones?
Exactly, give me a moment.
Exactly.
Max Muncy was at Oakland A. Well, no, Mookie was a Red Sox. All right, point well taken. All right.
We are talking to Brody Brazil here on the Yuma guest line. Also, you can see him on the stream, and it's great to have him. So a lot of talk about Macklin, Will Smith, and these young players that are making plays and scoring goals and all that. But, for the fans that are starting to get a little bit more into this, there's also youth on the defensive side. Sam Dickinson, to name somebody, or Yaroslav Askarov, the young goalie who has really taken leaps this year. So what would you say defensively the next steps are for the Sharks to take as they get ready to face a lot of tough competition, including tonight, 3-time Hart Trophy winner Connor McDavid? That's not an easy task.
Well, and I would agree that the Sharks' depth scoring has gotten a lot better this year. Like, they're not getting shut out. They can keep themselves in games, but I think the other part about it is that their defense has shored up tremendously. And I'll point right to Dmitry Orlov, who was an offseason signing for San Jose, time on ice leader, not a guy who scored a bunch of goals for this team this year, but he and Timothy Liljegren and Shakir Mukhamadullin and Mario Ferraro, who is now the longest tenured Shark, and this is amazing, on defense, the longest tenured Shark, but a Shark who's never been in a playoff game because he came in right after that run was over in 2019. My point is that everybody has stepped it up a little bit, but that kind of is the area of critique of a lot of Sharks fans who are looking at the trade deadline. Now, Mike Greer just did bring in Kiefer Sherwood, the Canucks' leading scorer, to add to a little bit of depth and grit up front as a forward. But I do agree. I think that's kind of the focal point. People are happy and satisfied with the steps the blue line has made this year, but there is still a little bit more room to lock down, especially if you do make the playoffs. That's all the playoffs are about is, defense and holding opponents off the score sheet. So there have been some strides, but I do think defensively that's kind of the number one emphasis area of where this team could get better and take its next steps. But some more in the pipeline, some more young defensive talent in the pipeline still to come. So it's not like the Sharks can't fix this, can't solve this, and won't get better. They will. It's just right now that might be a little bit of a weak area that they're looking at.
Yeah, obviously we're fixated on the NBA trading deadline, which was a week from today, February the 5th, and getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. You mentioned Mike Grier, the Sharks GM. The NHL deadline's a month later. It is March the 6th. So explain to our audience the race they're in for a wild card spot. Utah's right there. The LA Kings are right there. Release the Kraken right there. What do they need to do? It's been a long time since 2019 since they made the playoffs. Yeah. How do they get there? And what do you think they have to add or should be thinking of adding more specifically between now and March the 6th to maybe make a push to get into the playoffs and end the drought?
A right-handed defensive shot, like I said earlier, I think that, that's kind of the bolstering area defensively of what do you add, and not even an offensive-minded defenseman, somebody who can log a lot of minutes. You're talking probably about a top 4 type D, big and physical, but look, every team wants that. It's crazy because in the last recent years, the Sharks have come up to this point and, their Mackenzie Blackwoods, their Mikhail Granlunds, their Cody Cece's, their Jake Wallmans have all been traded away because, well, they were talented players and the Sharks wanted to prepare for the future. So this year, the Sharks are actually going out and giving up 2 picks to get Kiefer Sherwood or whatever they might do next. I'll say it like this. I don't feel like Mike Grier is in a pressure spot to have to even do something. If you look at the way that at least the fan base feels and media feels about this team, it's okay if they do nothing. Like standing pat this year is actually a sign of, oh my gosh, there's been progress made and you don't have to move some of your known commodities for future considerations. I don't know that the Sharks are yet at that point where they want to go out and, I know Artemi Panarin is out there and the Rangers are trying to get rid of him and, they're completely rebuilding the organization, but I don't know if he fits here now. I don't know. I don't know if the Sharks are in that really expensive splurge mode yet. Someday, next year, 2 years down the road, maybe they might be. I just don't know that they're in that spot. But again, I think most people would be happy if they honestly didn't do much, even after this point.
Brody, as we went through the 49ers season and they made the playoffs despite all the injuries and adversity that they overcame to get there, we talked about how valuable it was to get some of these younger players in their second year or in their first year, their first ever playoff experience, because they're going to need to rely on this youth even as they got a George Kittle, a Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, guys that are great, but getting a little bit older. Purdy, not as much, but certainly the guys who are getting into their 30s. So this Sharks season, I think, is going to be a success regardless of how it ends. I guess the question for me is how much more of a success would this season be if they're able to break that 7-year playoff drought and get these guys some playoff series experience?
I think, to your point, the fan who's been watching them for years and watching this this season since its beginnings, that fan's already won over. Like the boxes have been checked, and no matter how it goes or concludes, people are pretty satisfied. But to get the casual fan going and to reignite that, and obviously as a team employee, I'll say from the business side, it sure would be nice to sell some playoff tickets and host a couple playoff games. So all those things, I think getting to the playoffs at this point, because they've already proven themselves through 51 games. And look, after the Olympic break, they're going to have a lot of games in a short period of time. It should be an easier strength of schedule. They've got the ability here to maybe flirt with 85, 90 points by the end of this season. They've already made their mark. I just think playoffs would be the icing on the cake. Playoffs would be the thing that captures the casual fan and puts the Sharks in the spotlight of buzz. Like, I don't know where the Warriors are going to be come springtime. I know baseball season, everybody's excited about Tony V and the Giants. But I'm just saying the Sharks have the ability to capture the landscape a little bit of the Bay Area, especially if they return to the playoffs this year.
Without a doubt. Great to hear your voice, my friend. And, we lost a week ago. We haven't talked much about it because it happened right after we were off the air on Friday. But I was a huge fan of John Brodie's. I think we were talking about, Roger Craig and guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. John Brodie in 1970, the first year after the merger, was the most valuable player in the NFL. And he could throw the ball deep as anybody. They didn't win, much like the Sharks were in a drought in the 60s, but he got in the playoffs in 70 and 71 and 72. I know Murph's been talking a lot about him. We just haven't had the the forum. But you recently had an interesting interaction with John Brodie's daughter, one of the great athletes in Bay Area sports history, not just football, but what a great golfer and tennis player he was.
Yeah, broadcaster too.
Watched a lot of his games. Taught me a lot.
With Bay Area roots, right?
Yeah,
Oakland Tech,
Bay Area, yeah.
Stanford.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as you know, my real name is Brody Brazil. People think that's a fake name, stage name, adult name. It's not. I was really named after John Brody, and so I told a quick story. I made a YouTube video the day after I found out about his passing. And look, YouTube is great. It's amazing that I make this video, and literally later that day, I get an email from John Brody's daughter, who I never met, didn't know. Somebody had passed it on to her. Just the power of social media. And the quick story I told was that when I was 13 years old, autograph signing in San Francisco, my dad takes me, we're in line. We just want to get a jersey signed. We kind of in line found out that he was just not in a good mood that day. And I don't know, he was being quick with people. My dad's like, well, this may not be how we expected. We walk up to the front. My dad says, so Mr. Brody, this is my son named Brody after you. And like time stops, everything stops. His face goes from cold and dark to glowing and bright, and asking me questions and insisting we take a picture. He signed the jersey, instead of just signing it, he said, to Brody, use this sparingly, John Brody. Like I was ever going to wear the jersey he signed. It still hangs in my office here at the house to this day. It's framed and hangs up. So anyway, I just said I'm forever proud to be named after somebody. That's my only one interaction with him as a kid. But if he treated everybody that way, I'm proud to continue, bearing his name. So yeah.
So tell me about your dad. I mean, how did he convince your mom to name? I mean, how big of a John Brody fan was your dad?
Well, I believe the story goes, and you might have started this story like more than a decade ago, that you were broadcasting a game in the background while I was being conceived.
Wow!
That vision still haunts me, Pop.
It's true. So why weren't you named Papa or Greg? Why are you named
you were
Brody?
in your first year of Warriors back then.
Or Superman, Sleepy Floyd is Superman. It could have been that.
Yeah. I mean, my dad grew up going to games at Kezar, and I think it's cool. Like John Brody was the last quarterback at Kezar and the first quarterback at Candlestick. I mean, what a hell of a time between 70 and 71.
I know.
I guess my dad convinced her, and she probably was like, "Whatever, it sounds good enough." So I don't know that she wasn't the fan, he was, but so yeah, that's the origins and that's the namesake. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of Celebrinis or Macklins running around. My son is named Max, and we've already thought about maybe changing his name to like Macklin, just to kind of.
How old is he? Can you get away with it still?
He's 8. Yeah, so we're at
like
the
right on the edge.
So it's crazy because he's only 11 years younger than Macklin. It's crazy. Like kids are buying into the Sharks. Kids are fast. My son, I've been working for the Sharks for 17, 18 years, or with the Sharks and around the team. And now it's this year. It's his 8-year-old year where he wants to go to games. He stays up late to watch the games. So it's happening.
You got him on ice skates? Is he skating yet?
He asked about that. I said,
he's got to learn.
Daddy kind of works at the tank, so Daddy can take you there.
We have ice time. You don't have to go 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, we got a whole NHL rink to go skate on. So I'm working. I'm not pushing him, but I'm open to opening the door to him.
Unbelievable.
I love it. Healthy parenting all around. Brody, you're the best, man. And by the way, you can go check out any of his YouTube videos because he's up to 96,000, getting close to 97,000 subscribers. So you won't be alone.
Home studio. It's incredible. Tell your dad I stay high, by the way, Brody.
I appreciate that. It's crazy. My mom just texted me. This is the power of the sports leader, by the way.
She wanted to name you Gregory, didn't she?
I did not tell her I was going to be on the program today. She says, I thought we were going to have a girl, so I went with it. Sorry, Mom.
It's a boy. Damn, let's go with Brody. What the hell?
This is what you got. There was a different name if I was a girl. But
didn't they do ultrasounds or sonograms back then? They couldn't tell?
This was 81, dude. This was I think that was probably happening in 1980.
Sketch. Could we get anything going there? I don't know.
That's a hell of a coin flip.
They knock on the belly back then like, oh, yeah, feels like a boy, feels like a girl, whatever.
I love it. I love how she was just willing to risk it all for a coin flip right there. She's like 50-50, I'll win. And hey, didn't happen. And there we got Brody Brazil.
Hey,
can I just,
be a boy.
We're probably way over time. Can I just say two things? And I'll do it while I'm on KNBR here. I know some people in Sharks fandom are like, hey, we've always wanted you to cover the Sharks more. I appreciate you guys for always like having me on. And, same thing with Copes and, other Papa, D-Pop, for having me on. I will come on and talk Sharks with you guys anytime. And I appreciate the effort. Like, all of where this team is going is an opportunity for everybody to latch on. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, Papa, it is so good to see you back in studio. It is so good to see you back doing your thing, and you sound great, and I missed you the whole time.
I know.
I'm probably late in saying this, but you know how I've been rooting for you the entire time. It's
You've been
great to talk to
texting
you,
me
great
from
to
the
see you.
start, brother. You're like family, and we were desk mates together for years. We were right across the aisle.
You
together.
MF'd me so many times.
Mother!
I took that as that was the honor. That's when you knew you made it.
I wanted Derek was the choice. He wasn't my choice. My choice for Derek would have been mother effer. No, I can't quite do that.
I thought you would have named your first son Giambi. I thought that would have been
Which one though?
Giambi
Which
Papa.
one?
I don't know.
Slide, get down, get down. No, it would have been Baines. Baines.
Harold or just Harold
Just
Papa.
Harry? Harry?
Harold Papa.
So he's named after John Brody. Isn't that great? Brody!
Yeah.
Love you, brother.
There you go.
Love you,
You're
brother.
the best, man. We
Good to see
appreciate you.
Yeah.
We got to have you on like
All right.
once a week and talk Sharks hockey. Let's do it.
Do whatever you want,
Whatever
honestly.
we're not. All right.
I'm available. I'll see you
Looks good.
guys.
Best home studio
Dude,
ever.
with that 4K studio, how are we not going to have him on all the time?